I've been using the Ableton Move as my main portable device over the past few months, from producing just on the couch on a Saturday morning to traveling. And while I haven't really finished any songs properly and still haven't fully dove into the Ableton integration, I've been having a lot of fun with it, and the immediacy and just overall sleekness of the device keep me coming back to it. The beat that you heard in the intro and a few others that you're going to hear today have another connection to Ableton, actually. I've been playing around with this Max for Live device that is a recreation of the OP1 field sequencer Tombola, and that creates these kind of random gravity falling down the stairs type sounds that I can then take little portions of, export, and then bring into whatever device I want and build a groove around them. On the Move in particular, I've been loading those self-made percussion loops just onto a drum pad and then using the rest of the drum pads on that kit to build percussion and drums around it, and then the rest of the tracks remain synths. The random loading of drum kits and synth patches onto tracks as you activate them is a really handy feature, by the way, that grew on me a lot, even though I end up swapping out a lot of the stuff for custom stuff. A lot of custom drum sounds, and then some synth packs made by Yes Big City and A Force Truly Evil, who were kind enough to send me the packs that they've made on Isotonic, and I've been using them a ton. Most of the synth sounds you're hearing in this video were made by them, so I want to give a huge shout out to them, and recommend that if you need some sounds for your Ableton Move, that's where you should go. As I make beats on the Ableton Move, one thing I've noticed myself doing a lot is actually something I also used to do a lot on the original Novation circuit, and that is beat switches. I think devices with flexible clip structures but limited track counts lend themselves quite well to these dramatic switch-ups and kind of funnel me into that way of thinking. Because if you have just a big loop that you want to evolve over time, if you don't have a lot of layers to kind of come in and out and interweave, that loop's going to get pretty boring pretty quickly. So it forces you to think a bit creatively and do something a bit outside the norm, I think. And that's nice, even though it's ultimately working around a limitation. I have tinkered a bit with making some progressive house influenced stuff, and I've tried to fill in the gap in texture and ear candy by having either full synth pad sounds or little synth layers loaded in interspersed among my drums. So at this point, who do I recommend the Ableton Move for? I can't speak to the Ableton integration because I haven't used it a whole lot. I've tinkered with it a very tiny amount, but I wanted to do that on camera and then have procrastinated on it endlessly, so we'll get there when we get there. I did find myself talking to someone who was looking for an introductory device for their kid to get into, who wanted to get into hardware, and I actually think the Move is perfect for a beginning hardware user. It's got some limitations. It might, in some ways, stunt their growth, but if they have ambitions to eventually move over into full Ableton, I think the Move's a pretty good starting point. Even with the updates that have added features and therefore added complexity, I've still found it pretty easy to figure out, pretty intuitive, and pretty fast. And things like the capture feature mean that you don't have to think as hard about what you're doing or be as very deliberate as you have to be with some hardware sequencers. So beginners, I think, would absolutely benefit from the Move and the way that it works. And I think if you're already an Ableton person, or you want a portable device, but some kind of more modern sensibilities, I think you'll have a pretty good time with it. It's still not for everyone. I still have mixed feelings about it, but I am enjoying it. If you'd like to see some more related videos, you can check these out up over here, and I'll be back with a new video in a little bit. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching.